Hi, it's Andrea and Hudson with All Things Mindful, and we're here today to show you what? What are we going to show?
Hudson.
We're going to show Hudson, but also we're going to show tapping from Emotional Freedom Technique, EFT. Tapping, right here. There you go, tapping. Just talked about that he just introduced. He's in bed now, so we're going to continue with tapping, and I'll put a bunch of information about EFT down below to help explain it a little bit better, because I just want to dive right into it. I'll briefly discuss the mind and body component of EFT and why it works, but then I want to get right into it because I know you're busy like me and you want to get the benefits and get the results and feel better, learn the technique, start using it, and move on to the rest of the stuff you want to do in your day or evening. So, in a nutshell, EFT is tapping, which incorporates both mind with validation, acceptance, okay, compassion, something most of us don't give ourselves very often throughout our day. And on the other hand, the body by realigning chi, tapping different meridians, different points on the body that correlate with actual meridians or acupressure points. Okay, so before we begin, we have to first identify our problem. Just like if you go into any counseling session, and my background is in behavioral health and counseling, I do this technique, by the way, in the psychiatric hospital, and the patients love it because they feel better immediately. But I have to always remind myself, have whoever you're working with yourself, or if you're doing this with someone else, if you're trained in it and want to work with someone, always remember, rate the problem. Rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how you're feeling with the problem emotionally right now in this moment before you begin. So first I have to identify what it is. What's my biggest problem? What's the thing on the forefront of my mind right now? And sure, you can say, well, there's a lot of stuff. So pick the one that's been most frequently coming up on your mind. You're thinking about it every few minutes, or it's that thing that's the last thing in your mind before you go to bed at night, which I hope there's nothing on your mind before you go to bed, because that way you sleep better. But go ahead and pick whatever that thing is, whatever that fear or emotion that's unwanted. Okay, so maybe it's anxiety. Maybe it's I have this fear, this pit in my stomach. I have this anger I'm holding on to. I have this resentment. Whatever it is, go ahead and pick the word to describe it that really resonates with you. For the sake of giving an example, I'm just going to use fear. Okay. So as I go through this, I'm going to be saying fear. Okay, but you, please, as you're going through this, pick the word that represents what it is for you the most. Okay, so for example, if yours is anxiety, we're going to be saying over and over and over again for this whole first series as we're tapping, even though I have this anxiety, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay, so by the way, there goes the validation, acceptance, and the compassion part, which is again what we don't do very often for ourselves. So we're going to be saying that over and over again. I'll use the word fear. Okay, we're going to begin tapping. Just watch me for the points and do as best you can to get exactly on the point where I'm showing you. There are handouts, there are other YouTube videos where you can actually see a little dot that they put on the point, so that's also helpful if you want something to reference after this. Here we go. Begin tapping. And you're not tapping too hard, just enough to feel a pressure on that point. Taking a breath. Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay? Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Under the eye. Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Under the bridge of the nose. Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Right here under the collarbone, the thymus thump. This actually feels really good, especially if you've worked out or if you have a cold or something. Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. This can also be done with a rub on what they call as the sore spot. Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay, next we're going to go right here, the gamut they call it, in between the forefinger and thumb. Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Good. Next, we're going to do the karate chop, my favorite. Right here, take your arms like this. Okay, karate chop. Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Sides of the nail bed, starting here. Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay, good. Let your hands go. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Let it all go. You're going to start to feel that energy moving through your arms. That chi is already starting to move, and you should feel that by now. Close your eyes and open them. Look down into your right, so kind of looking down where your right foot would be. Not moving your head or neck, just your eyes. Shift the eyes down into your left. Once again, not moving your head or neck, just looking where your left foot would be on the ground. At some spot or fixed point on the ground. Good. Now we're going to take our eyes and do a circle to the right. Complete circle to the right, clockwise. Good. Complete circle to the left, clockwise. Good. Now we're going to count out from 1 to 5, engaging the left side, the left hemisphere of the brain, the logical side. Ready? Out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next, we're going to hum 5 seconds or so of any silly song. Some people do Mary Had a Little Lamb, and my groups at the hospital, we usually do Happy Birthday. And make sure to hum it, okay? Gets the vibration of your mouth going, which also assists in the relaxation and engages the hypothalamic region, aka your fight or flight response. Ready? Here we go. All right. So we're going to go ahead and check in with ourselves. Some people like to check in and see where they were on that imaginary scale of 1 to 10 right now. And some people already notice if they started off at a 9 or 10, they've gone down to 7 or 6 or so, maybe even less. But we're not finished, so we really don't even need to check in yet. We still need to run the whole process one more time. But this time we don't say the full statement of, even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. We just say, this fear, okay? Or if it's the anxiety you're working on, this anxiety, okay? This fear of failure, this fear of success, this anger, this old resentment. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to use this fear, 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 this fear. Okay. This fear, 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 this fear. Drop the hands. I always take a deep breath here. Close the eyes and open. Look down into your right. Look down into your left, just the eyes. Clockwise, roll the eyes all the way around. Clockwise, roll the eyes all the way around. Counterclockwise, excuse me. Engaging left side logical, counting out from 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the right side, we're going to hum for the creative side. Okay. Take a deep breath in. Relax completely. Let your body go. I've had some people tell me at that time, this time, sometimes they forget what their problem was they started off with. And then when I ask them to really think about it, they remember again, so that's okay too. But go ahead and check in with your scale and just kind of see how you feel about it, how comfortable you feel inside about that problem on a scale of 1 to 10 and rate it. So maybe it's gone down a little bit. Maybe it's barely budged, just a tiny bit. I know mine went down to a 3 and it started off at about a 7.5, if I'm being honest there. It was up there. And kind of already feeling better, almost giddy sometimes people feel when they start to realign the energies this way and start to accept themselves in a way that they're not really used to doing. It's amazing. It's magical what happens. So let's say we got a 3. Perfect. Just run the process again a whole nother time. So starting from the beginning, even though I have this fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay? And then you would go from there and notice that it'll go down a little bit more. If you got to run this process 3 times or 4 times, then cool. You're doing what you need for yourself for today. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I love doing this. I know that you'll see immediate results as far as feeling better, feeling more in control over your emotions. And that's really it, guys. I mean, this will be there for you. Again, these are like having empowerment at the tips of your fingers, literally at the tips of your fingers with your tapping. So enjoy, and I'll see you soon.